Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Wonderful to be with you on the show today. Okay. We will get into a couple of things today. The Phillies are in trouble. I'll start with this. We can't, if you want to keep doing the what happened with UCLA thing over and over about where the team is, obviously we can do that, but we did an entire hour on that yesterday. I'll start there, then I'll go to some other things. Okay. I am a big believer in people. People I get to know, people I see how they do their job, how they go about it, how they are in personal life. That's why with all the kidding around that I do with Jason, I think the absolute world of him. Because he's the kind of person when you're around, you just genuinely like him. He's a great friend. He's loyal. He's got your back, despite the number of knives he's put in mine. Right. But, he's a person I absolutely believe in and have for forever. Forever. We've gone through working together and not one time ever have had a crossword about anything, right? Even though he hates my guts. He masks it well. But I'm a believer in people. I'm a believer in people that I'm around. Everybody knows how I feel about Jack Ham. No matter what you have thought of me over the years, he makes me way better. Dick Girardi, no matter what you've thought of me over the years, he makes me way better. And they're just great people away from the broadcast. Roger and Jeff Tarman and Bob Taylor and all these people. I'm a big believer in people. And I'm a big believer in James Franklin. James Franklin has all the qualities that I want in a Penn State football coach. We're in a modern era where you have to navigate the transfer portal. We're in a modern era where you have to navigate, for the lack of a better term, NIL, and now salaries moving forward. You have to have somebody with the personality to recruit. You have to have somebody with the personality to go out and continue to recruit. All right. I mean, the number of places he has visited just this season alone, because he's trying to take care of the present and the future at the same time. You have to work that 16 to 20 hours a day, which he does. Now, people have complained, for example, about his time management. Yet his time management has dramatically, right? I mean, no matter what, his time management's been outstanding in recent years. Outstanding. And I want to get Saturday. What about not calling? What about timeouts at the end of the first half? He was managing that correctly. If you understand the game, you are trying to leave as little time as possible for the opposing team while trying to get points yourself, right? And that was actually managed extremely well. That's the way Jack and I talked about it on the broadcast, that they're doing the right thing, because we're thinking the same thing. I don't want UCLA back on the field with a lot of time to work with if things go awry.
And they have the hot hand. You don't want the ball back in the hot hand.
So you're trying to at least get, you're not sitting there. That baffled me when people said that to me. I'm thinking that's not even remotely correct. Right?
Especially when you're around midfield. If you're at the 20-yard line and you have 3 timeouts and you're not urgent, then
right, exactly. But then you're at midfield, and I thought that was managed the way. If I'm sitting there, I manage it the same way. And at the end of the game, he gave his team a chance. By the way, he used the 3 timeouts at the end. He gave his team a chance. Okay, that aside, I'm just a big believer in people. I see how he is around his team. I see how he is in the recruiting part of it. I see how he is in navigating this modern landscape, which so many people do not want to deal with. Mike Krzyzewski did not want to deal with it anymore. Jay Wright did not want to deal with it anymore. Bruce Pearl did not want to deal with it anymore. Nick Saban did not want to deal with it anymore. There's a long list of people that don't want to deal with it anymore because the system has so dramatically changed. You have to have somebody who embraces it and is adapted to it. He's done that. But as a person, he is somebody that has great loyalty, which is something I think is invaluable. I was brought up by my parents on two basic premises: work ethic and loyalty. Always. Work ethic and loyalty. Anybody who's been around me for any period of time, except for Jason, anybody who's been around me for any period of time, I think does not question my work ethic.
No.
Right? And anybody who's been around me for any period of time has never questioned my loyalty. Well, loyalty is a two-way street. It's one thing for you to be loyal, but not have it returned. That doesn't work. Joe Paterno dramatically believed in work ethic and loyalty. It was important. He was as loyal to me as you could possibly ask. Bill O'Brien the same way. And James Franklin has been exactly the same way with me. I believe in people. If I'm going to, right now in this landscape of college football, if I'm going to handpick somebody I think can turn it around and can do it the Penn State way, it's him. That's me. You may not share the same opinion. You are perfectly entitled to your opinion. But keep in mind, I'm perfectly entitled to mine. Okay? Doesn't mean you and I have to agree. Doesn't mean anything. You are entitled to your opinion. You are a paying customer. Okay? But also keep in mind I'm entitled to mine. Right? If I had to handpick anybody, handpick it right now, today, I'd pick him. It wouldn't even be a question in my mind. I would pick him. He understands Penn State. He understands the landscape of this place. He has put Penn State in great positions for years and years and years. Right? I always use the example of Pitt basketball. Jamie Dixon can only get them to the Sweet 16. Where you been since Jamie Dixon left? Okay? Again, the worst decisions are made in anger and in panic.
Mm-hmm. Spontaneous.
Anger, panic. Worst decisions are made. Okay? If I want to save what they have right now, but also then moving forward and get them back in a position to be in the college football playoff, he's the guy I want. Okay? Simple as that. And again, you may not at all agree with me. You are absolutely entitled to your opinion. You are a paying customer. Okay? And I respect that very, very much. Right? But at the same time, I'm also entitled to my opinion. Okay. Now let's get to, I want to get, at some point, I'll do a couple quick baseball things, and then I want to get to this deal on private equity with the Big Ten, because I mentioned yesterday I wanted to really talk about that. The Brewers, okay, name any Brewers. Christian Yelich and and Contreras and Churio and guys like that. Sure, they got a lot of great bullpen guys, but they're up 2-0. They fall behind 3-0. They go with a bullpen game in game 2.
Yeah, and win.
Right, and win the game. Hey, first of all, they were off a week. Still went with a bullpen game in game 2. Okay. All their runs were scored on home runs.
Yeah.
And they won the game 7-3 last night.
How about Andrew Vaughn? Where you're finally seeing that talent to what he was capable of. God, he just was terrible in Chicago.
Vaughn, who's been
got the change of scenery, and he's been outstanding. Absolutely.
Outstanding for them. Now let's get to the Phillies. I said this years ago. The atmosphere in Philadelphia is phenomenal. Oh. Okay? But they think they're intimidating. How many Philly fans have you heard that they were?
The crowd's tremendous, but
we're an intimidating
baseball
crowd.
Home field is not as
we're an intimidating crowd. Intimidating to who?
Yeah,
I mean,
we've seen teams win the World Series on the road plenty of times.
Okay, the last 6 home playoff games the Phillies have played, they're 1-5 now.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you intimidating?
Yeah, Astros swept the middle 3 in the world. Well, no. Took 2 of 3.
2 out of 3.
2 of 3. Phillies won game 3.
And one was a no-hitter.
Yeah, one was a combined no-hitter, yeah.
Right? Didn't seem that intimidated that night. But the atmosphere is unbelievable. But don't take yourself so seriously. You're thinking, you're scaring the opposing team to death.
No.
I mean, I could just see the fear in Otani's eyes all night. Like,
yeah, and that's
right, then they started booing them. Then they started booing them.
Well, they booed their own guys too.
No, I'm talking about they started booing the Phillies.
Oh yeah.
No, they started booing the Phillies.
You're seeing a repeat of a lot of things that you've seen over the postseason and several years in a row now. You're seeing that top of the lineup just not get it done once again. You're seeing.
Okay. But you don't have Zach Wheeler.
No, that's huge. There's no doubt that's huge.
Not having that guy in game 1 and could have pitched game 5.
Yeah.
Okay? The Phillies, the way the game 1 played out, he actually makes the difference, I think.
I think he does, but I also will say the pitching in game 1 and 2 has not been the issue. The pitching in game 1 and 2 has been good. Luzardo was outstanding. Sanchez was good.
Luzardo was outstanding. Sanchez was outstanding. It's fine. Except those guys should have been the game 2 and 3 stars.
Sure. Nola game 4.
Okay, there is a domino effect.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
And boy, that Dodger bullpen is a scary proposition.
Yep. Aside from one man. That was a questionable decision at best for obviously Dave Roberts to do that in the 9th inning. But aside from that,
I don't know what you're saving him for.
No, I don't either. But aside from that, I think there's no question that he has outmanaged a Topper in this series. I don't think there's any doubt. I think there's legit. You talk about criticizing managers, coaches. I think there's legit criticism for the Phillies right now. I don't think you bunt Bryson Stott in that spot. I think you have a guy in scoring position.
Yeah.
You have a guy with a bat that can certainly do things. I thought that decision was questionable.
That was a good play by Muncy. It was a great play. But the problem is who's running.
Yeah, exactly. Castellanos is running. And you can't pinch run for him either. I know that a lot of people can. I would not have ran for him there because you knew Bader was coming up. You knew Bader wasn't moving well, so he was going to have to be pinch ran for. So in that spot, I did agree. I know a lot of people said you got a pinch run for Casty. I don't agree on that one. I think he probably is the guy that has to stay in there. I just think he swung away. But, and also the pitching decisions in game 1 I thought were questionable. Yeah. But, and it all comes down again to that top of the lineup right now. Kyle Schwarber has been non-existent. Bryce Harper, same thing. Yeah, Trey Turner is...
And they're both two big guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Harper's the reason they were in the World... So one of the big reasons they were in the World Series a couple of years back. Had an unbelievable NLCS against the Padres. Right. And that's where I think the problem lies right now. They disappeared in the Diamondback series, game 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Disappeared, I thought, in a big way last year against the Mets. And we're seeing the more things change, the more they stay the same here in the Dodgers series. You've got to really take one of those two at home, at least one of those two, preferably both. But I think, to me, when you're down 0-2 now going on the road, to Chavez Ravine, I think it's a tall task because that Dodger lineup really, and Ohtani pitched aside from the start of the game on Saturday, I thought pitched a pretty good game overall. But bat-wise, he drove in a run yesterday. But other than that, him, Betts, and Freeman have been pretty quiet. That I think has got to be.
Again, when you have a balanced lineup, Will Smith comes through.
Will Smith's been great. Kiki Hernandez's postseason experience is showing for sure. Hernandez has been phenomenal. But that's where I think you've got to really be concerned if you're the Phillies, because those three are going to wake up at some point, I think. So that's where, I think it's big trouble right now for the Phillies. I think you're seeing a lot of things that have happened over the years that are coming back to repeat themselves in this postseason.
Right. So we'll see how that plays out. And the Yankees play the Blue Jays tonight. Rondon goes for the Yankees, and Toronto's up 2-0, and the Tigers and Mariners are 1-1 going to Detroit.
That's been a real good series. Yeah, Tigers and Mariners. Yeah, the Blue Jays, 23 runs in 2 games. That's hard to beat.
Yeah. All right. So, and then Connor McDavid is going to stay with Edmonton through 2028.
Gave him a discount in a lot of ways.
He did.
2 years, $25 million.
Well, I think a lot of people were taken aback by the fact that he did not demand an increased number.
Right.
He said he wants to win a Stanley Cup in Edmonton, and guess what?
And they're close.
He's staying in Edmonton. No, they are close. They've been in back-to-back finals. We'll find out if they can get over the top, and we'll see in late May, early June if they can get there. All right, I want to get to the private equity part now, because I think, again, you have to talk about these things to give some perspective. The story is out there. It's been written in The Athletic by Scott Docterman, and it's been written on ESPN.com, and I can't remember, with all due respect, who wrote it. And I also read a third one about this. The story is that the Big Ten, there is a proposal on the table for $2 billion in private equity. The story goes, and, so we'll just quote from the story without the ability to, maybe at some point I'll ask Pat about this tomorrow when I see him. But that it would be $2 billion. Each school would be guaranteed $100 million. That's what they claim. And that gets you to 1.8. And the other $2 billion, the other $200 million conference gets a cut, and then how much they get. And there's some talk about maybe a couple of other schools getting a little bit more than everybody else. All right, those couple of others, everybody always talks about Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State might be the other one, and Oregon could be a fourth. Because on the TV side, those are the 4 brands that draw the biggest numbers. And that's on TV. And each school would have to sign a grant of rights that would go through 2046. Okay. I think right now the grant of rights runs through the end of the TV contract, which is 2032. Something like that. 2031.
Yeah, I think this would put it. Yeah, this would put it to 2040.
2046 is what they're saying. Okay. That's the part that Michigan and Ohio State evidently.
Yeah, the public asset part of it.
They're balking at. Okay. Which then brings up the next stupid idea, which is the Super League. I mean, if I read more about from fans or whatever, and the Super League, so just okay.
No, that's
stop
not a good
signing
idea.
on to a stupid idea.
I agree.
It's a stupid idea.
Absolutely,
right? It's not a dumb idea. It's a stupid idea. Okay, so now let's let's move on from that. I'll get to that in a second. All right. It's like the whole thing, like Florida State's leaving this week. No, they're going to wait till the end of the decade. It's like you tried to tell everybody for months and months and months on the show, I'm wrong. Guess what? Where's Florida State playing right now? Right? I can read a grant of rights document. All right, just so you know,
it's not a long one.
No,
it's a couple pages.
It's 5 to 8 pages. That's all it is. One of the conferences is 5 pages. The other one's 8. That's all it is. Like I said, you can't find. Okay, you have lawyers poring over every single word. Okay, after about a year, if you can't find it in 8 pages, it's not there. All right. So now the private equity part. So what would the private equity firm allegedly get? Well, allegedly they get a 1/20th cut And allegedly they get a 1/20th vote at the table. Okay, we're not going to cede control. Private equity, I have nothing against private equity at all. Right? You know, it's their job to go out and make more money. I'm fine with that. That doesn't mean you have to accept it. I'll give you a good example. We talk about the hospital system in this country, especially smaller hospitals. Private equity has delved into a lot of smaller hospitals across the country. And what they have done, because now you're not getting rate on return in the health system, is that and I get this from very good authority. So this is not, I am not sitting there and talking out my backside about something. I've talked to other people that are in the industry. And they say what they start to do is they start to cut corners because they've got to make sure they maintain their margin. The Big Ten cannot have a thought process that they are too big to fail. You can't. This fiscal year, each school will get approximately $82 million from TV. If you were to ask anybody in the Big Ten 10 years ago, do you think you'll get $82 million in fiscal year 25, 26? They'd look at you like you're nuts. No, I don't think so, but they're going to. We've talked about how Penn State's radio contract has kicked way up. Penn State's radio contract, like any group of 5 school, would love to have a TV contract the size of Penn State's radio contract, which includes all the corporate stuff in the stadium, things like that. Okay. The Adidas deal, sitting right there for Penn State. These are all important line items for this school. And I know everybody has to pay the money. So now the athletes, it's $20.5 million this year. Next year will be $21.3 million. The next year will be $22.2 million. Right? It goes up 4% every year. Right? There's up until you get to, I think the top out number at the end of 10 years is $30 million. Okay? So you have to come up with that money. I understand that. But isn't that what the Adidas deal is supposed to do? I'm talking about from Penn State's point. Not everybody has this stuff. Okay, I understand. Like Purdue doesn't have this.
No,
Northwestern doesn't have this. But for Penn State, for example, and Ohio State, Michigan,
especially, yeah,
right,
absolutely,
right.
Michigan's deal with Nike even a couple of years ago was astronomical.
Their deal with Nike is huge. The deal that Ohio State has with Nike is great. Mm-hmm. The radio network deals are really good. I think Penn State's is better, though. I think Penn State's radio network deal is actually a lot better than Ohio State.
It's newer as well, which helps it.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's because they were bidding for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when these contracts are up, I don't know. I'd have to ask Paul Keels, like, when are you guys up and for bid again? Like Texas A&M just changed. They're going to, starting next season, they go to play-fly. And it's interesting to at least have another competitor out there. We all know that Under Armour, Nike, and Adidas are competing, right? And timing was, for Penn State, it worked out because there's also evidently some, for the lack of a better term, NIL deals in there. But private equity is not the way to go. This is what I would expect the ACC and the Big 12 to do. I would expect the ACC or the Big 12 to do this because they need to figure out a way to catch up to the Big 10 and the SEC financially. Because in 5 years, that whole landscape completely changes. It completely changes. Because at that point, all these ACC and Big 12 teams financially, each year they fall a little further behind, a little further behind, a little further behind. Now you're getting to the point where you're falling behind to the point where it's becoming a chasm. Suddenly there's a $40 million difference. There's a $45 million difference per school. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Keeps going in that direction. Even Washington and Oregon, they get half shares. They're going to get $41 million apiece.
Still 40, yeah, absolutely.
They're going to get $41 million apiece for this fiscal year. That's more money than they received when they were in the Pac-12. Okay. I don't mind if this is explored.
Right.
But there's a big difference between exploring and getting enamored with the shiny object, which is the $2 billion. Okay? When private equity throws in with you, what do they want? What do they want? They want rate on return. Sure. They want rate on return. And if they're not getting it, then they start, okay? They want more power. They want, they want to throw in some ideas as to what they think. These aren't football people. These aren't basketball people. These aren't athletic people. They're great at what they do. They're private equity people. They're private equity people. I think this is not a good move for the Big Ten.
No, I would agree.
It's not. I mean, it's very difficult to sit there and say no to $2 billion. I mean, based on how you dress today, you obviously did.
That's right. That's right.
But I just don't see, again, if the ACC or the Big 12 were doing this, I'd sit there and go, well, they're just trying to play catch-up.
Sure.
But I still would say the same thing to them. I'm saying now, I just don't think it's the right move. The next part is how the ACC structured its TV deal, right, with ESPN, where Clemson and Florida State and whomever gets a little bit more money than other teams. I'm not crazy about that, but now they're talking about the possibility of that in the Big Ten. Which then brings up the idea of the Super League. Why do I think it's stupid? We're going to do a Super League. Okay, well, last year, Oklahoma and Texas went to the SEC, right? Started out first year. Texas did pretty well, right? Texas did really well. Made it to the college football playoff semifinals. What did Oklahoma do? They finished 15th. The day Oklahoma and Texas went into the Big 12, I was doing the show that day. We found out. Houston Chronicle broke the story. And they was like, this is unbelievable. Look at this. Wow, what a splash. Wow, it is. But then I made the point. I said, always remember, if you're playing 8 conference games on a Saturday, 8 teams will win and 8 teams will lose. Okay? 8 teams will win, 8 teams will lose. Well, Oklahoma and Texas were a perfect example of that last year. Texas won a lot of games. Oklahoma did not. Now, this year, Oklahoma, to its credit, is playing much better. They're playing very well. Texas, meanwhile, struggling. Okay? You get a Super League together where it's going to come down to 24 teams in one and 24 in the... Oh, for goodness sakes. Will you just stop it?
Yeah.
I mean, stop it.
Not a good idea.
Okay? It's not a good idea. Okay? When this was proposed, remember in Europe, we're going to do the Super League in soccer, and the fans rejected it. The fans actually stopped the Super League from happening. Meanwhile, you got people in this country, I think they ought to have a Super League. No, you don't want a Super League. Okay? Yes, the Pac-12, in its former form doesn't exist anymore. Right? But in talking to the Oregon people, right, they're glad they're in the Big Ten. Right? They're glad they're not in the Pac-12 anymore. There wasn't the commitment to things in the Pac-12 that they're getting commitments from in the Big Ten. There's a lot of the same attitude in Oregon about what the Big Ten means compared to what the feeling in the Pac-12. And the Super League idea,
It'd be terrible.
Okay, first of all, do I blame anybody for coming up with ideas?
No,
I have no problem
you're
with
welcome
ideas.
To any ideas.
I have no problem with ideas.
Absolutely.
Ideas, opinions, things like that's fine. But don't expect me to promote it for you. Don't expect me to endorse your idea. I think it's just a very poorly conceived idea.
I agree.
It's very poorly conceived.
It's not going to work. Wouldn't work.
Right? I mean, because again, what makes some of the top teams outstanding is they keep winning. Right? That's what makes them outstanding. Right? And now suddenly out of nowhere, you're going to start spreading the wealth? No, that's not really how it works. Yes, it was great to see what Indiana did last year, and then Indiana's got a big game this week with Oregon. That's in Eugene. That's the 3:30 game.
3:30, yep.
Right. But I think the Super League is not a great idea.
No.
Dividing up college football into an AFC and NFC, not a good idea.
No.
Right? Just play in your conference.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that the ACC and the SEC now have acquiesced in going to 9 conference games levels the field.
Right.
Okay, that helps out.
Yeah.
Okay, now everybody's doing the same kind of schedule now. That's a big step. TV-wise, I'm sorry. The Big Ten is not here to carry the ACC.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, the Big Ten is not here to carry the ACC. Let's all group the TV. I've heard this one. Group the TV contract together. To do what?
Yeah. Exactly.
To do what?
Yeah.
So now suddenly out of nowhere, an underperforming television pit, Syracuse, Louisville, right? Wake Forest, what? Okay, you're getting TV money based on what you draw.
What you draw and what you bring, absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, Penn State, Oregon was 8.8 million viewers, just like Alabama, Georgia that night was 10.5.
Sure.
Alabama, Georgia was 10.5 that night.
Yeah.
Oregon, Penn State was 8.8. The ACC didn't even add up to 8.8 that day.
No. And there's...
Okay, I mean, there's certain schools that are being carried. All right. Okay, let's take Rutgers. I mean, you want to know what the average Rutgers, this a year ago, they averaged, I think, something like 600,000 viewers a game last year. Right? Yeah. And they play people.
Right.
Right? It's not like they didn't play people at home.
No.
You know, and on TV, it's not, you know, they weren't out there playing Maryland every week.
No. And then this is the reason why, and I know people are not fans of Big Noon, and I get it. This is the reason why they take Ohio State 6 weeks out of the year. It's the reason why they take Penn State. The reason why they take Michigan. Those brands, Oregon, those brands draw in the ratings that they need.
Michigan. I mean,
absolutely.
No offense, I find Michigan football in a football sense boring, but a lot of people love to watch Michigan.
Yeah, because they have a strong brand and a fan base. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no question.
Okay, so the private equity thing, I would encourage the conference to pause on that.
I would as well, and I think they will because of who is against it. I think if use Purdue and Rutgers as an example, if they're against, they need unanimous regardless. But
they need to be unanimous.
If you have,
I don't know how Penn State feels about this.
I don't either.
I do not know.
But if you have Rutgers and Purdue or Maryland against it, then I think it's more swayable than you have your two. Michigan and Ohio State are hesitant. There's going to be yours opening a lot quicker.
And I don't know how Penn State feels about it.
Right. I don't
I'm going to have to ask Pat directly. Yeah. Like, I mean, are you for this, against it?
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay? I mean, I'll just ask him directly.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But
yeah, in terms of, and you also don't, you talked about it, the non-conference games now, you don't really change what is, now is there flaws in the system? Of course there is. There's flaws in every system, but what is working, if it's not broke, don't completely fix it. You know, you look at to a lesser extent, and obviously in soccer they do it. It's not popular. The NBA did their old, we're going to have an in-season tournament.
Oh, God.
Who cares about it? What exactly has it done rating-wise for the NBA? What exactly has it done to push anything? I don't think they're raising a banner in Los Angeles that they won the in-season tournament 2 years ago. I can't even tell you who won it last year.
I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's
maybe it was Indiana.
I think it might have been the Pacers.
Okay,
but the point is, like, it doesn't mean anything. No, and that's what's going to happen. Okay. Like, the teams that draw. The teams that don't. You don't need to fix that. Those that don't draw have to figure out why they're not drawing.
Well, look. That's the other part too. I hear ideas. Super League, bad idea. Relegation, bad idea.
Terrible idea.
This is American sports.
Yeah.
Okay, American sports. Okay,
it's
we don't
different.
Do relegation.
Right.
We don't.
It's a lot different.
I realize because there are how many levels of soccer in Europe? I mean, in Great Britain. Ding, 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 ding. That's why relegation occurs because of all the levels that you have. Well, yeah, we got Division 1, 2, and 3. What do you think? Widener should be Division 1? What the heck? I don't. It's like, cut me a break.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hear ideas. They should have relegation. That way, at the end of the year, it'd be more exciting. No. Okay. Super League. Well, that we put all the best teams in 2 conferences to play. Bad idea.
No, bad idea.
Private equity. Okay. Yellow light. I'd like to see caution exercised on that. Okay,
I agree.
That's how I look at that. I just don't think it's the right.
No, I don't either. I don't think it's remotely the right at all.
Look, it's not as if private equity isn't involved in businesses.
Sure, it is. Sure, it is.
I have no problem with that.
That being said, when things privatize, sometimes that's not for the better.
Right.
And in a lot of ways.
I mean, athletic people know how to run athletic entities.
Absolutely.
Well, at least for the most part.
Yeah. Well, if the world knows who the athletic director is, more often than not, that's not a good thing. I think
I think everybody knows who Ross.
Everybody knows, and most people know Pat Kraft is. But point being, if you know him in a negative way, like let's go back to Florida. Steve Spurrier was fired. Jeremy Foley's name suddenly was brought up. Well, Steve Spurrier resigned, I think, but Jeremy Foley's name was brought up in a big way, and everybody knew who he was. Nebraska gets rid of Bo Pelini, Frank Solich. Everybody knows who the AD is suddenly. That's what my point. I think when everybody starts knowing who you are nationwide, it's usually not the best news.
Yeah, it's not. So it's something that I would exercise extreme caution on. Yes, the $2 billion looks great.
Agreed.
Yes, the shiny object always looks great.
Sure.
Okay? Sit back and look at the unintended consequences.
Exactly.
You always have to look at the unintended consequences of a decision. What's the unintended consequence of a Super League? We just discussed it. Okay? Suddenly out of nowhere, big powers are losing.
Absolutely.
Because somebody's got to lose.
Sure.
Right? What is the unintended consequence of relegation? Right? Suddenly you lose a brand name like whomever, and suddenly Bowling Green is in the Big Ten. Like,
literally.
No, it's like they didn't earn their way in. Okay, and just because and schools have years. Northwestern was a doormat for years in this conference, and also in 1995 they became one of the great stories ever in the conference. Went to the won the Big Ten, went to the Rose Bowl. Right? Okay, it's part of being in the conference.
Sure.
Okay. And then there's the private equity idea. Not crazy about that either. Just not crazy about it either. And I think that I just think you need to put a pause on that. And what are the unintended consequences of making the move? We know what the plus is. The plus is the $2 billion.
The $2 billion, sure.
Okay, that part I've got. Now, what are the unintended consequences that you have to be aware of? And I think that has to be mapped out, and to see if the $2 billion is worth the unintended consequences of it. And that's how I always look at something like that.
Sure. Same.
Yeah. So you're saying Steve Spurrier resigned, and
or I can't even remember. Was he fired or resigned? That was back when Florida. But I'm talking about the fact that matter is Jeremy Foley came to the forefront. Yeah. Bobby Bowden's issues at Florida State, TK Weather all came to the forefront. That's my point there in that spot, where you're going to know everybody in the world's going to know who the athletic director is for that suddenly, and it's usually not good news when that happens. The great ADs fly under the radar because they make great moves.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, for the most part.
Yep.
So that's where we are with that. I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I just think. I mean, I read that, and I read 3 different articles on it. The more I read, it just made me more. So then I talked to somebody I know that's had to deal with it, and they said the initial is, okay, there's the money. He says, but then he said they start making moves because, especially as time goes, they need to recoup their investment.
Sure. And how do you do that?
I mean, this isn't free money.
Yeah, no.
Okay, see, that's the key. This is free money. No, it's not. No, it is not. All right? Listen, you know what? You guys are really cool. Here's $2 billion. No, it doesn't go that way. Doesn't work that way at all. Iowa Penn State is going to be on Peacock next week at 7 o'clock Eastern time. That means the game will start in sunshine because, remember, it's 6 o'clock out there.
Right.
And then it'll by the last 2.5 quarters, it'll be at night. This has nothing to do with the UCLA game. You're like, oh, no, they got pushed to Peacock because just settle down, okay? Everybody has to take a turn on it at some point.
Right.
Okay?
And you're seeing Peacock expand now to doubleheaders, tripleheaders.
Right. Yeah. Last year, the whiteout game was on Peacock against Washington. Right? I realize that for the people that are negative in the world, they have very short memories as to, like, oh, yeah, that's right. And the game was put on
8 o'clock Peacock. I remember.
I mean, the whiteout game was on Peacock last year. Paul Burmeister did the game. Yep. And I was very opinionated about you take something, one of the great spectacles in college football, and you put it on Peacock.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what I said a year ago. Well, this time, same thing. It's like it's Penn State's turn to be on Peacock. It's Iowa's turn to be on Peacock.
They've been on there once already. They were on the Indiana game, I think, was Peacock.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. That Indiana game was on Peacock.
Yep.
Oh, it's like, geez.
Yeah, I think, and
I mean, come on. I mean, look,
it's the era
the
we're
NFL,
in at this point.
The NFL
is what started it.
At some point is going to put a Super Bowl on streaming.
You're not wrong, I don't think, at this point. And that's
I'm just throwing darts into the wind, but my
at the very least, the conference championship. One of the 2 conference championships.
Good.
I think you could probably do that. Super Bowl, I think we're a ways away from. But I think conference championship.
At some point, they're going to put a Super Bowl.
I think they will.
Streaming.
But conference championship, you have the option to have one on TV, one on stream.
Because that group doesn't give a darn
about
anything except money.
Money, sure.
Right? Roger Goodell stated years ago, he was very upfront about it.
Yeah.
I want to be a $25 billion
and they're not far
business.
from it already.
21 right now.
Yeah.
The $21 billion right now. $25 billion. Okay? They want, that's their goal. Well, they're, as you mentioned, they're getting closer.
Yeah.
They're at 21 right now. I had somebody say to me yesterday, he said, well, I said, I mean, let's see if they put a playoff game on first. I said, they already have. I said, they already have. They
Twice.
Said, right? I said, last year Amazon had it. Yeah. Then 2 years ago, Peacock had the Dolphins and the Chiefs.
Which was the biggest game wild card weekend that weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You put the Steelers on last year, which would have been on higher ratings.
Right. The Steelers game
Ravens, I think.
That was on Amazon, right?
I thought so. Yep.
Yeah, it was on Amazon. So they're already doing it.
Yeah. Yep.
They're already doing it. Now, Amazon, they've got Thursday Night Football.
Right.
So it's not as if they're not, and this has been years now of Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Was it 3 years now?
Yeah, and their streaming is close, at least. They're losing money, but they're not losing money to the level of what these other streaming services are losing.
Right, but they don't worry about it because...
Exactly, they have other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked in the station today, there were 22 boxes for you.
Amazon, I'll tell you, the advantage of Prime.
With the little smiley face on it. I'm like, okay.
Your usual.
It's like, okay, what are we doing? What's Jason ordering this time? Right? One looked like a pinball machine. But you at least already have Amazon established.
Right.
Peacock has really struggled. And they've put the Olympics on
it.
It
has. They've put a lot of stuff
on it.
Yeah,
NFL. Like that, and they lose so much
You're going to have
money.
the NBA coming up here.
Yeah, they're going
You
to have
had the WWE, which is a huge, obviously, following amongst the target audience they're reaching. And that's another part of it that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah, pay-per-views back in the day were, $30, $40, and you got them on Peacock for the subscription rate, and they still struggled.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the NBA here at NBC is putting a lot of money into their analysts. You have the greatest name in sports history, I think, in Michael Jordan. He's going to be part of the... that's why I'm not saying greatest athlete of all time. No, Bo Jackson's the greatest athlete I ever saw.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
kidding. He's the greatest player that I ever saw in my lifetime. That doesn't mean he's the greatest of all time. And we're talking about 27 different eras. But that being said, I think from a name perspective, I don't think there's a bigger name in my lifetime, at least in sports, than MJ. And you have him on your coverage. You're paying him a lot of money to do it. I think that's it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. But it's on Peacock, and it's only because because
well, they've expanded Peacock to the point they're having double and triple headers.
They are trying to get more eyeballs to Peacock.
Yep.
Basketball has a lot of Peacock.
Basketball. You look back at Caitlin Clark's days.
I'm talking about the Big Ten.
Yeah.
The Big Ten has a lot of Peacock games.
With Iowa, that's where you saw Caitlin Clark a lot of times was Peacock.
Right.
Yeah. It's the era we're in at this point. Would you love to have it where you have it on NBC and Peacock, so you get the best of both worlds? Certainly.
To me, that's
probably the way I would go. Yeah,
CBS,
absolutely.
It's on Paramount.
That's the way I would go too.
Right? NBC, it's on Peacock. In other words, I've got both together for somebody who wants to stream it or somebody can get over the air. Now I'm maximizing my audience.
Yeah.
Doing it this way does not it maximizes the radio audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Jack and I are like, okay, here we go.
I'll tell you that Christmas Day, Christmas Day, I listened to the second NFL game on radio. But that's where, absolutely. And it's not, if you maximize your audience, you're not getting that hopeful subscription or two that you're going to get by having it just on Peacock.
Well, by the way, Christmas Day again, Netflix.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Like Netflix?
Yeah.
Right. And they did the Brazil game too, right?
They did the Brazil game on Netflix, right? They did it on Peacock last year. Yeah.
They keep doing
But I was on YouTube. Brazil game was on YouTube this year.
Yes, YouTube.
Yeah, it was YouTube.
The Chargers-Chiefs game was on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. But they keep integrating this into the NFL coverage.
Yeah. And
right.
Yep.
I think it was 2 years ago. It was the Chargers game against somebody at the end of the year. They put on Peacock and did not put it on NBC.
Yeah, was it a Monday night game or something like that? Yeah, I do remember that. Yep.
Like, okay.
Then they had the playoffs, obviously. Yep.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked
if they're warping it more in that direction. And of course, the Big Ten, the streaming part of it. Now the NBA is going to stream on Amazon.
Yeah, it's going to stream on Peacock specific nights too.
Certain nights on Peacock, and of course Sunday night will be NBC's basketball night. Just like with the baseball contract, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to put Sunday night baseball on. They're trying to make it 52 weeks out of the year where they have something on Sunday at sports. For some reason, Dateline's not doing well. So there's only so many times Keith Morrison can narrate a tragedy. So And he does a great job, by the way. Like, not a good job, does a great job.
Exceptional job, but it's not going to draw the audience that the Steelers and Ravens are going to draw.
No. And that is, sports is the one thing that is bringing with it the unpredictability and the drama. That's why everybody's bidding for it. Now, at the end of this decade, okay, now what's going to happen? Big Ten contract's up.
Yeah.
The NFL contract's up. Okay? The SEC contract will be a couple of years before that.
Right.
Okay? And the NCAA basketball tournament runs out in 2032, which means in 30 they have to start negotiating a new one. Now, why do you think Turner was involved?
No doubt. Yeah.
Okay? Why was Turner involved? Because CBS could not afford the full billion at that time, the full billion themselves. Okay? Now, is it Skydance came in? Somebody came in with CBS, right? With Paramount. It was part of a merger.
I
think it's Skydance.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Regardless, they brought in, at the time, a little different era. They brought in Turner. Why'd they bring in Turner? Because Turner, of course, had cable subscriptions. And that helped make up the money that was needed to get to the $1 billion per year that the NCAA men's basketball tournament was looking for. Okay. So you have all these contracts up, and they aren't staggered. Okay? It's going to be a lot of stuff happening. And when I mean staggered, like in a 2-year period,
couple years.
There's going to be a lot of things happening in a 2-year period at the end of this decade. I mean, not a few, a lot. I mean, big contracts. Okay? I think the NBA contract's 11 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's multiple. It's double digits.
Yeah.
So
that they're not up for bid. I think baseball's up for bid in 2 years. I think
the Sunday night contract or the actual
the overall
Fox, I think the overall was Fox's.
Contract.
Yeah.
And the NHL I think has 3 more years to go.
NHL's got to. Yep, I think it's 2 or 3. Yep.
But college.
Yep.
They're all due at the end of this decade. In other words, when I mean due, I'm talking about the negotiations need to start at the end of this decade.
Yep.
Okay. And the NCAA basketball tournament one is a huge one. And by the way, it will coincide because this deal with the college football playoff is 6 years. Okay. It is not a 12-year deal like the first one.
Right.
So you got the college football playoff, the NCAA men's basketball tournament, right? The SEC, which is after the Big Ten. The Big Ten will go first this time, right? The SEC, then the ACC, Big 12. It's like the end of this decade, who knows what the TV landscape is going to look like. I don't know. But putting it on streaming, that's one of the problems I'm having with televised sports right now. You should never have to make your audience have to figure out where to go to find it.
Yeah, I would agree.
And we've talked about that here.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And look, that happened when, and we're even talking TV when Big Ten Network came around, when it first came around, and there was disputes with Comcast and disputes with every other Time Warner, and you've had, for the first time in a long time, you weren't seeing Penn State football on TV in a lot of ways. ESPNU, I think, picked up a game, the Youngstown State game the one year.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that suddenly came in, and now it's, and that part at least was on television. Now, you've reached the point where it's streaming only.
Yeah, exactly. So the game's going to be on Peacock. I like to put out the game's on radio.
That's true. It is on radio, locally 99.5, 107.5 The Bus, and Bigfoot Country Legends as well, 103.7.
Yeah, 103.7's the live feed, by the way.
Yeah, the live feed, absolutely. For home games, those of you listening, for home games, your best bet is to Bigfoot because the HD signal on the bus is going to delay it a little bit, and if you're in the stadium, you're going to lose your mind.
Yes.
So, you're better.
Yes.
You're in the stadium. Your best bet is.
And I will take tell everybody that the reason it's on 103.7.
Yep.
Is quite frankly I forced it.
Yeah.
I did.
It was a good move.
No, I did.
That was a great move to do.
After game one, because I'm not paying attention. I'm doing the game.
Got several.
Right.
Yeah,
well, I had so many people complaining to me. I went to management and said, guys.
Yeah.
Got to do it. Like here's one. You hit a major foul ball here, and it's a major foul ball. Right. I said, you want to carry Penn State football? People are listening in the stadium, and you've delayed it.
Yeah, well, an HD signal unfortunately is going to do that, and that's
Yeah, well,
that's yep.
How about next time beforehand asking? All right. So they made the adjustment, which was a great adjustment, putting it on 103.7, so it's live.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go from there. Actually, on the road, I wonder if on the road if you listen to the bus with the delay.
Yeah.
I wonder if that actually matches up pretty well with the game.
Especially if you're watching it on Peacock, too, where there's a delay to begin with, where if you're on streaming on your phone, yeah, it could.
I don't know.
I don't either.
I'm the last person to ask.
I don't either.
I am
my technology skills or lack of thereof.
But I'm doing the game. I'm the last person to ask.
I'm at the stadium.
People will come up and what about this, and this, and I'll look at them.
Yeah,
and go,
I'm in the stadium.
I'll look at them and go, I don't know.
Yeah,
the part
I'm taking notes in the stadium.
The part I'm talking, I don't know.
Same.
About what radio station's doing what.
Agreed.
So you have two options, which is great. You've got the 99, the bus option, and you've got 103.7 as an option as well. So, and who's quarterbacking for you this week?
As of right now, I assume Mac Jones. I don't think Purdy's ready to go just yet, but we'll see. Kittle was cleared to practice, which I think helps dramatically. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tough game. Tampa Bay on the road, not an easy place to play.
Tampa Bay's pretty good.
They are.
I got to give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it looked like, Brady got older. Everything else was kind of, he threw the ball. Did he throw the ball, 600 times this last year?
Yeah, quite a few. Quite a few.
I think Stafford still's the record holder at 800, I think, of the season, which is crazy. But, all right. So, there we go. We'll see how the Yankees do tonight. It's amazing how a team from Toronto has become America's team. All right. Thought I'd mention it. We'll leave on a funny note.